After the country's biggest movie chains announced they would not be showing The Interview next week, Sony Pictures declared it won't move forward with the film's Christmas release, saying, "We respect and understand our partner's decision and, of course, completely share their paramount interest in the safety of employees and theatergoers."
In the space of a few days, there are those screaming that America has shown everything that is wrong with this nation and this government. A cyber attack proving how vulnerable and ill-prepared we are for a new generation of criminals. And overtures to a repressive government getting nothing substantive in return. Now let's seek out where the truth in all this lies. It's a pleasure to welcome back to MidPoint doctor, author, former Republican congressman, and two-time Republican presidential candidate. In other words, the man who has done it all. Ron Paul joins us today. Dr. Paul, thanks for being here.
Nice to be with you.
Let's go ahead and talk about what has happened here with Sony and the government in North Korea. Are we simply just paying the price for a government, an administration, and a people that just are ill-prepared for what the 21st century brings in attacks on this nation?
Well, I think we are. It's certainly a lot easier to understand what you just said when it deals with medical care and Obamacare. I think it gets a little bit more confusing on some of these international issues because so often charges are made, whether we deal with North Korea or the Ukraine, so I always like to get a little bit more information. But so far, it hasn't been all that good, especially domestically for what this president has been doing.
What does this then say then to our enemies, to people who would look to attack America? And certainly, cyber war is something that is coming. Matter of fact, it's here. Newt Gingrich says we just lost the first cyber war.
Yeah, but they don't have the evidence of who won. I mean, just to say, oh, well, it's the North Koreans, that's to say it doesn't prove anything. So what a lot of people now are wondering is, how are they so smart to do this? They can't even have lights on at nighttime. It's the most impoverished-ridden, failed country in the world, and they're smart enough to steal all this cyberware and cyber security. I just have a lot of questions about it, and I'm going to wait and get more information.
I guess those are the questions right there that you just posed, because with a country that seemingly is so backward here, and there's a report coming out today that a computer hacker who's been connected to North Korea says there are 1,800 cyber warriors in their agency stationed around the world who are doing just this. Aren't we supposed to be the country that is so technologically involved and advanced to be able to stop this?
Well, you'd think so, and you'd think... since $40 billion didn't get the information and tip us off about what was happening on 9/11, we've doubled that to $80 billion plus. You'd think we would be able to keep up with somebody that doesn't have any money. So, I think there's a lot of failures to be looked at.
What's it going to take, Dr. Paul, to wake this country up to realize that we're not everything that sometimes we think that we are, that sometimes we better catch up to the rest of the world because our hubris gets in the way?
Well, that is a subject that I deal with all the time because I'm trying to wake people up to the disastrous policies of the last 100 years, for that matter, whether it's the Federal Reserve or the IRS or the welfare system or our empire. But I have no confidence that all of a sudden we're going to get a few more people in Congress and Congress is going to act responsibly, and they're not going to sneak the bad stuff in at the last minute like they always do, and they did this recent time. So I think that we're going to wake up when there's a cataclysmic crisis in this country bigger than what we had in 2007 and 2008. And I think that was just the opening salvo of what to expect. And then we will, as a people, have to decide, do we want a monolithic government that cannot do all the things that they pretend to do because the standard of living is going down, the problems are building, and we're losing respect around the world. So in many ways, we're on the verge of collapse. But actually, I come down on the side that this could be a good thing if the people wake up and do the things they ought to do and maybe restore some of the values like sound money, free markets, balanced budget, protection of civil liberties, talk about the Fourth Amendment again. All of a sudden, things could change, but I don't think it's going to be a gradual, graceful change. But I do think that outside of Washington, there's a lot of progress in this area.
I've had about 20 seconds left, and then we're going to take a break, come back and talk a little bit more here. But with regard to that collapse, are you afraid that if the wrong person gets elected in 2016, that collapse is going to happen awfully fast?
Well, yeah, it can make a difference. But I've noticed in the many years I got involved in politics in 1973, and there's always been promises and challenges, one party or other. But one thing that I have observed, that regardless of who wins, it seems like we continue to do the same thing. I mean, the parties aren't that different. You think about the collusion.
I'm going to ask you to hold on to that 1 second, Dr. Paul, because we're up against a break. We're going to come right back. I'm going to pick up right there. Ron Paul joins us when we continue right here on MidPoint.